Hello guys, welcome back to Beyond the Realms. Got Krazy here once again. And today we're going to talk about The Guest, which I've mentioned here a few times on the channel. I know I mentioned it in an update video briefly and also in a DVD Blu-ray haul from Fry's. But I never actually done a full video on this before, and Krazy just saw this movie this past week, and we were sitting here thinking damn man, let's just do a video on this. So Krazy, tell us about The Guest, man. What's this movie all about? You're really good at explaining plots here.
All right. Well, okay. A family's son has died in the Iraq or something.
Yeah, they don't really specify, I don't think, but it's Iraq, Afghanistan, I think.
Yeah, and they're pretty from the scene. They're pretty distraught from what we see in the beginning, and suddenly someone arrives who says a guy arrives and he says he's a friend of their son's and he came to look out for them for a little while, and over this time we meet the mother and the father and the daughter and the son, and he becomes acquainted, and the movie takes off from there.
Yeah, and it's we don't do spoilers here on this channel unless we specify. And this one's not going to have spoilers because I think we both agree, that this movie has not got the recognition that it deserves. I mean, it seems like it's gotten out there a little bit more, but still, there's so many people that don't know about this movie. I mean, you look at that cover, you look at the name, and you just think, that's like any other damn movie.
It looks like generic action movie.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like something that, would be worthwhile to check out. Like, I didn't think so, and then a few people recommended it to me, and I checked it out, and I was like, oh my god, man, wow, that's fucking great. And I think you would agree, right, Krazy?
Oh yeah, I'd agree because the cover, you would think nothing of it, but I mean seriously, this movie is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I think the one thing you can say about this movie is strongest point is how it seamlessly blends several genres together. Like, you can't really pinpoint exactly what genre this film is, right?
No, that's true because Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett's previous film, You're Next. Well, that was a straight slasher homage and home invasion film.
Yeah.
This film is just it's a bunch of things, a bunch of genres all together, and it works perfectly.
It's like late 80s, early 90s action film. It's drama film.
Slasher.
It's definitely has a slasher elements to it. It's got, funny parts in it,
comedy,
humorous comedy. I mean, but it's not, it never feels like they were just doing that to do it. Like, everything's very natural, how it blends all these together. I mean, it blends them together without you really noticing it until the end when you're like, man, how would you classify that movie, I mean, I think ultimately I would call this a horror film because it is pretty graphic at times, and the overall feel and what ultimately the tone of the film turns out to be, I think it's overall a horror film. Would you say so?
Yeah, I would say so. Horror action.
Yeah.
I mean, horror, yeah, totally. And those guys, I mean, they work in the genre anyway. I mean, I wouldn't call them. Well, I haven't seen A Horrible Way to Die, so I can't say if that's a straight horror film or not. But they're genre filmmakers. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Because this is definitely, it's not a flash in the pan action movie, but it's not a straight horror film, but it is more horror than anything else.
Yeah, and I would agree with that too. I would say action horror ultimately, but there's way more to it than even those two. Yeah. And yeah, it definitely gets graphic. And just great acting performances, man. I mean, awesome. Dan, what's his name? Dan Stevens, that plays the lead role there. He's right there on the cover. Just awesome, man. And Micah Monroe, which if you've seen it, follows. This is her right here.
She does great.
She is also the lead in It Follows. Yeah, she's fantastic, man. Between these two movies, she's somebody I'm definitely going to watch out for, and I want to see any project she does from here on, man, because she's a great actress. She's young, she's beautiful, and she's great. You know, she kind of she kind of reminds me of what's her name. Damn it, she passed away. God, I can't tip of my tongue. Oh, she was in Clueless, and what's her name?
Murphy?
Brittany Murphy. She kind of reminds me of her in a way. She kind of has that look to her in a way. But, yeah, just great.
Dan Stevens, though, man, I want to follow him, too, because, man, his performance is unbelievable.
Yeah, and there's definitely, again, without spoiling anything, there's a Terminator 2 feeling to this, wouldn't you say? An influence, for sure.
And Halloween.
Yeah. And it's got I can't think of the guy's name right off now, but if you've seen The Wire, the main police chief guy, the black guy in that from The Wire.
Oh, he's in The Wire? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he plays the police chief, or the head of the military that's trying to find Dan Stevens' character in this movie. Yeah, it's basically that same type of character. So if you like The Wire, you're going to like seeing that guy in this one.
He was great, too.
Yeah, he's really good actor. Very underappreciated actor. But yeah, man, I mean, this movie, wouldn't you say, Krazy? Just highly recommend, man.
Oh man, if you like Your Next and everything, and Adam Wingard, this is a must. And even then, if you like 80s action movies in general, and horror films, this is a see it, go watch it now.
Yeah, I mean, and it's totally different than Your Next, but I get what you're saying. Like I know you liked Your Next a lot more than I did. I thought it was okay film. I know you really loved it, but I get what you're saying though.
It has the same sense of humor as that.
Yeah, it does, and I mean, even though I don't care for that film as much, I know what you're saying though is like film quality. Like I know you love Your Next. This is definitely a high quality film. And, I mean, it's just really, really good, guys. Very underappreciated film that, you know, even though it's getting more recognition, it still hasn't fully found its audience that it deserves by any means.
And that's because I think people, it wasn't marketed a certain way, probably.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like I said, man. I mean, the poster art and the name does not sell the film well. Not at all. I mean, you know, it's got I hate to say it, but it's got lame art. It's got a lame name. I mean, The Guest, it seems very bland. It seems very average. If I wouldn't have heard good word of mouth on this, just this alone, there's no way I would have watched it. But I'm glad that I did, because this is one that steps outside of its box of you know, past its artwork and its name as being a fantastic film.
Oh, yes. I mean, it is an unbelievable film. It's so high rated for me. Like, yeah, and I've only watched it one time, but I loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to watch it again as soon as possible.
Exactly. So yeah, Krazy, we're running low on battery here. My phone here is actually about to die, but quickly, let's give a rating on this. Krazy, what would you give this one out of 10?
I give it a 9.
Yeah, I would give it a 9.5 myself. It's definitely, you know, this is one of those films that's kind of in that odd barrier of last year and this year. It actually came out last year, but it's a very limited release. It didn't hit Blu-ray this year. I'm putting this film up for this year's films. I'm with Headbanger on that, where it got its release this year. So I'm counting this as a 2015 film. This is definitely one of the best films I've seen this year. I've watched it 2, maybe 3 times already. I love it, and I'll actually watch it again. And the score, we got to mention the score quickly. The score, it's
awesome homage to the synthesized scores of John Carpenter.
Yes, and like the 80s new wave feel to it. Just amazing score and soundtrack to the film that really adds to it. It's one of those films where if you took that away, it would take away from the film some. You know, which is the real, you know, the real signaler of being an awesome score. So.
Yeah, and I cannot wait to see what Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett do next.
Yeah, exactly. So, Krazy, I appreciate you joining me. And guys, definitely check out The Guest. And if you do,